Hello, this is Naomi Dawn, and today I'm going to be talking to you about colouring lace to match your project. Now, this is my lace stash, and I've got some ribbon in there as well, but as much as I've got, I'm guaranteed I can never find exactly what I want to match a project. So today we'll be looking at how you colour lace. Okay, the first one that I'm going to show you today is working with Colournists, Shinanists. So these are basically, it's ink and mica powder. Kitchen roll. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is shake them if you've not used these before. I use the Shinanists because there's such a wide range of colours, you can match pretty much any project that you want to. Right, the important thing that you need to know when you are dyeing lace is that synthetic lace and cotton lace quite often acts differently. So you need to test whatever it is that you're working with. So the first one, as I said, we're going to work with Shinanists, and I'm going to have a piece of synthetic and some cotton. And just spray it on. Now, what you need to know with the Shinanists, or whatever you want to call them, is it goes everywhere and it dyes stuff. So one of the things I do is I've got a cardboard box that I sometimes use, that I couldn't use it with the camera, and it's just got the front cut out, and then I can spray because it's quite tall. Use your heat gun. To dry it. Now it's going to take a few seconds. One of the things you need to know when you are working with a heat gun and lace, synthetic lace sometimes shrinks. So you need to test the piece before you use it on your project to see if it will shrink when you use a heat gun on it to dry. Rather than have you sit and wait for the need to get that dry, I'm going to show you one I did earlier. This is the cotton lace with the two colours. It's quite a thick lace, so the other side didn't go through, and that's the intensity of the colour. And this is my synthetic. Now you may notice that on the synthetic the Shinanist has faded some, so again test it. Okay, so that's the first way. Put those there for you. Get Shinanist, mica sprays, whatever you want to call them, get them off straight away, otherwise they do mark your mat. Dry. Okay, the second way of dyeing lace that I'm going to show you is tea. Now it's warm. I've got one tea bag in there. I leave my tea bags whole because it's easier to clear up, but you can tear the tea bag and have the granules. Again, the synthetic lace sometimes reacts differently to the cotton lace. Sometimes they hold the colour well, sometimes they don't. Keep an eye on it when you're doing tea because it does take the colour really fast, as you can see there. My kitchen roll. I use chopsticks. You don't need to use chopsticks. It's just a habit I've got for doing it. Okay. And that's had, what, maybe 20 seconds? And you blot off the excess. That's not taking much colour on, so you can dip that back in. And I add about the same amount of time. Let's put that back in. I find with tea dyeing, it does tend to hold the colour if you're using cotton. Where's my lace? Got this tea bag. There's the lace. Give that a quick blast. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll show you the one I did earlier. So again, this they've both been in the tea, and then they've been dried using a heat gun. As you can see, it's kept its colour. That's kept its colour as well, though it's a little bit lighter on that one with the synthetic. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is working with coffee. Right, this is just cold water, ordinary coffee grounds, and the best way I find to use these, I'll show you, go back to this one. If you want some darker age spots in a few places, if you're doing a vintage layout, and put a few coffee granules on, so you just get colour in certain places, like something rusty's or dirty's been leaning against it. Done. Now synthetic lace will always dry faster than cotton lace, and it does help if you take it off with the wet tissue. Be careful when you're using your heat gun, they can get very hot and burn you. I'll show you a couple that I did earlier. Once they're dry, all you've got to do is brush off the coffee grounds, and you've got aged or distressed lace. Okay, and that one's on there, stretchy. We'll dry this one a bit more so you can see the tea with the coffee. Okay, so just to recap, cotton lace reacts differently to synthetic lace. You can see on the back there. Okay, my experience with synthetic lace is that it will fade. As you're drying it, it will fade, as opposed to cotton lace, which holds the intensity of the colour. Remember that synthetic lace will sometimes shrink when you're drying it, so be careful with that and do a test piece. Do a test piece anyway, regardless of what you're doing. And with tea dye, again, you can use hot tea, cold tea, it doesn't matter. I use chopsticks because it's easier for me, you don't need to do that. Once it's dry, you get a nice rich brown, and the longer you leave it in the tea, the darker your tea dye will be. Okay. Synthetic, I find, takes longer to take the colour. Keep an eye on it, otherwise it does end up too dark. If your lace gets left in the tea too long, it's worth running it under a cold water tap. That will take out some of the colour. And if you're really desperate to get the colour off, then maybe try some soapy water, warm soapy water. Okay, and then you've got the coffee dye, which is spritz it with water, put some coffee granules down, get it dry, and then brush the granules off. You need to remember though, with this one, if you get it wet, there's a chance that your colour's going to bleed, so think about what you're using it for. Okay, So that is 3 ways of dyeing lace to match your project. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.